Margaret Burke White is captured taking an image of the ground below by Oscar Grobner. A quote I really enjoyed was, "Work is something you can count on, a trusted, lifelong friend who never deserts you." She was born on June 14, 1904, to Joseph and Minnie White, who worked in the printing industry and in publishing. Despite being homeschooled with her two siblings, she grew up to be courageous and determined, according to her mother. She started out at Columbia University in 1921 to study reptiles and amphibians. She continued at the University of Michigan and finally graduated at Cornell University with a degree in biology. She passed away in 1971 due to complications with Parkinson's disease. However, it was not until after the death of her father and a class on photography by Clarence H. White that left a truly lasting impression on her. This kick-started her illustrious career. She was the first pursued by Henry Luce, the founder of Time magazine, to cover the industrial and business sections. Much of her work was used on the first edition of the magazines. She was the first and most celebrated to capture the horrors of concentration camps and the first to be allowed into the Soviet Union. She captured bodies of the victims who were enslaved to Nazi rule, shocking the world in the process. Whether it was dangling from gargoyles, hanging out of helicopters, or even surviving a torpedo attack, she took whatever risk was necessary for the photograph. Being the first accredited woman photographer in World War II, her career really took a liftoff. Capturing the Korean War efforts and one of the last photos of Gandhi with his peaceful protest before his passing. She eventually withdrew from the public and officially retired in 1969 due to complications with her disease progressing. Here shows 6 soldiers filling up balloons. While the subject matter may seem fun, the trucks behind them give us a location, the U.S. Army. Her use of framing strictly captures the scene and nothing else, making it truly remarkable. The clouds show a nice shadowing on the scene below them. The focus seems to be sharp on the center, and the further you go, it starts to blur a bit. The Chrysler Building is shiny, sharp, and crisp. You can see every line and detail. The structure almost appears as if it was made as a piece of art rather than a building. Its smooth, glassy appearance reflects the sunlight, adding a kind of glow to it. The light is a tan hue, with the sunlight reflecting off parts of the building, giving it a glow effect. It seems she must have been in a helicopter or some object, since the photo is taken of the top of the structure at a very close-up upward angle. A flood victim uses what he must to stay dry. She captures the true human essence here. His shadow reflects off the water with lots of natural lighting, making him the focus. He is nicely dressed, using wash tubs to get around the water. The light only flows straight down the middle of the photo, which makes me wonder if there was a building or something to obstruct the light's path. The photo is very sharp all around, showcasing people's ingenuity faced with struggle. Capturing one of the last images of Mahatma Gandhi, she captures him reading, sitting on the floor, looking frail. She lowers herself to his field of view to capture a more defining look, adding aesthetic with the spinning wheel off to the side. Every detail is sharp and focused as if she caught a perfect snapshot in time. Taking a picture level with the Statue of Liberty in itself is a huge feat. It showcases bravery. Looking upon this picture, I can see the cracks, the wear and tear, and on a figure who represents the utmost freedom. Her focus was on the head, with the 7 spikes that represent our starting colonies. She is sharp in the front with people poking their heads out of Lady Liberty's crown. The foreground gets a little blurrier the further back you look. Her vantage point here is looking straight ahead, but lowering herself to the ground to capture men shackled by their feet. The chains show how not one can move without the cooperation of the other. There is a stream of light coming in from the left side, highlighting dirty and worn boots, faded clothes, and a multitude of chains. Shooting an image from above helps to show the devastation after bombings. Nothing but destruction was left in the path where there were once houses, schools, markets, etc. Overall, the photo is very sharp, but focused on a huge church building that sustained massive damage, but still, by some miracle, is standing. Capturing the terminal tower through a slit from another building frames the tower as dark and a little eerie. It is very sharp and detailed, showing all the windows and the very pointy top of the building. The natural lighting helps the building stand out. However, the parts in the shadow look gothic because of the incredible detail. A little boy in poverty with only his hound dog to keep him company is framed by a doorway. Newspapers cover all the walls as if it is to help keep the cold out. The light seems to be coming from the room on the right side to highlight the boy's features. He looks disheveled with patches on his pants and no shoes. The boy and his dog are very sharp, looking as if they are lost. Capturing a farm on a cloudy day adds lots of shadowing to the ground and buildings. The sharp undertones help you see in the distance a man, probably the farmer, walking across the field on a dry, no-breeze day. The windmill in the background is completely still and sharp, with no blurs, meaning there was no wind to move it and distort the photo. The light shining on top of the mountain from the right shows a slow move in a fog. The fog is very bright, with the mountains casting shadows. A perfectly clear sky makes you wonder if the photo is just taken above the clouds. Her choice of framing shows the mountains looking dark and unresisting, while the fog is pure and playful, trying to envelop the mountain's peak. The photo is blurry, showing a man carry his wife on their journey. Everyone is carrying something as they walk in their group. Burke lowers herself to the ground to capture them towering over her, showing not one, but 7 people on a journey across the desert. The industrial era was full of machines and pins. She uses the crane as the center, showing its sheer size compared to the 2 men working in dirt. The machine is very sharply detailed compared to its surroundings, which are blurred out. A man comforts an old woman who lost everything in the war, including her family. They are captured in front of a tall field, showing nothing in the distance or beside them. It shows how humanity can actually overcome war. The 2 people are detailed, while the further back the photo goes, it becomes harder to identify the chaos. A Middle Eastern woman is begging for change, for any help possible, because her husband had died and she has no family. Her cover shows how she is still deeply ingrained into her culture and unwilling to budge. You can't see her face, arms, or hands, yet she still pleads with people for their generosity. The lighting shows her clothes as if they are white, like the paper she is holding. A street full of corpses in multiple steps of decomposition are scattered across a road with hungry vultures on the roof and street enjoying their spoils from death. The framing shows buildings still standing as if everything is fine. In the distance, you can clearly see the tools people used for farming or traveling untouched and as good as new. This is 3 peasants on a wagon are the center focus of the image, showing a woman who looks cold and has straw hanging from all over. The 2 men in the back are just watching the scenery as they ride along. The lighting is straight down the middle to highlight this poor woman's fate. A ballerina ties her shoes, casting a shadow on the wall. The lighting is very focused on her to show her feminine figure. The frame only shows the ballerina in a corner, sitting alone. A bar with a child sitting atop it stares directly into the camera as his mother enjoys a beer. It seems all the people's faces in the photo are lit up sharply, but all the background is black, making me wonder if she used a flash or some kind of manipulation. A seating area for ladies in Arabic shows how determined these women are to be part of society. All women stare at the camera with heads tilted. The tones in the photo draw your eye to the sign and the front row of ladies because they are the sharpest in the image. Margaret Burke White was a documentarian for many magazines across her lifetime. Some of the things she was known for was being courageous, gutsy, and determined by any means to capture the image in front of her. She is the first American female to be accredited for her works.